Blank. I'm Lisa,
I'm Erica.
and welcome to season 2, episode 2, where we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything.
Exactly. Yeah, we're so happy to be with you on this Saturday morning. It's pretty beautiful here. A little windy, but not too bad. And Lisa had a great night last night.
Oh, yeah, the Leafs won, so I'm a big, me and my husband were a big Maple Leaf fan. So we went out to our neighborhood pub, and the Leafs whooped the Calgary Flames, and we had a few drinks with some friends, and it was a really good night. And I never win anything, so they gave us these ballots, and at the end of the night, they called my name, so I won some tickets to the hockey game, a free dinner, and a party bus. So I don't know, I was feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sweet. Yeah, what did I do last night? I actually met with a friend that I've known for the last about 7 years. Yeah, and just kind of hung out, just had some coffee, or well, I don't drink coffee, tea at her place, and just hung out and talked and kind of caught each other up on what we've been doing over the last year because, of course, because of lockdown and
Yeah.
everything, wasn't really able to see her. But yeah, it was really cool to just catch up and get out and not be in my house.
Yeah.
I mean, I love being at home, obviously, with my girls and a husband, but it's nice to get that human interaction. And I didn't even realize how much I was missing that. And also, we were talking about how those skills can so drop off easily if you don't use them.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
absolutely. Especially with COVID, like we were saying, you're comfortable in your home and you don't want to do anything in your
Right.
little bubble. And then with social skills, if you don't use it, then you lose it. So,
Right.
with us, yeah, we've been going out with some friends and stuff, and it's been good,
Right.
but for a little bit there when we weren't doing much, we were just comfortable at home and not doing much, just hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of good to kind of, have somewhat of a normal routine. So,
For sure. Yeah, it's just crazy how I just think about if we think about 5 years ago compared to now,
yeah,
it's a completely different story. I
yeah,
would never, if you told me that I would be a homebody wanting to stay at home,
yeah,
I would have been like, yeah, right. That's not going to be me.
yeah,
But yeah, it was very easy to kind of slip into that mode and not really, I don't know. It was very easy to isolate people. So I do
mm,
see, especially if you live on your own, how easy it is for people to slip into
depression,
depression,
yeah,
suicidal thoughts,
anxiety.
and all of that stuff. So, always just, if you can, try and reach out to people and just check in on them, see how they're doing.
Mm,
And if you are alone, try to reach out to, somebody and just try and let them know how you're feeling
yeah.
too and try and
Well, and
get
they
some
have these
help.
like social groups,
Yeah.
depending on what your hobbies and your interests are, that you can go, either for a walk or like book clubs and stuff like
Right.
that. So,
Like meetup groups.
meetup groups, yeah. So, like, that's another great idea
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
if you don't have like somebody close, or if you don't have family or friends here, or if you just moved here or whatever,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of different resources. So try and access those. Talk to someone if you can and try and, yeah, I mean, Dr.
Hmm.
Google is really good for figuring out where you can find those resources and who
Yeah.
you can talk to for
It's
that.
good for a lot of stuff, and also not good when you're looking up symptoms. It gives you the worst case scenario because Dr. Google tells you you're basically dying.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But
Yes.
I mean, good old Google and the internet and how far technology and everything has come, right? So I think, now it's November, obviously, so Halloween just passed.
Right.
And let's talk a little bit about Halloween. So earlier in October, I think I told you, I was sleeping, and then in the middle of the night, I woke up because I heard kids talking,
Hmm.
and I was pretty sure it was 3 o'clock in the morning because I didn't check the time. And it wasn't like creepy, like it wasn't like an evil laugh or anything like that. It was just a bunch of kids talking and it woke me up. And obviously I don't have kids. And then, I forced myself to go back to sleep. And then the next day I said to my husband, I said, "Oh, I heard like kids talking and it woke me up."
Hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, it's just the neighborhood vandals. Like they're all out." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But what I've been reading and finding out, over the last few years is that with Halloween, um, the spiritual realm and the physical realm, the veil is very thin. So sometimes it just allows certain things for you to hear and see certain things.
Right.
So, I mean, I wasn't really surprised. And other than that, like, with Halloween, they say, it is the most satanic day of the year because there's lots of really weird rituals and sacrifices that are being made in different countries and cults and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think it's hard, it's tough for us because obviously, you have kids and,
Oh my gosh, and Catalina is obsessed with Halloween. Like, there's some little thing on there, like Halloween night, and she's just like, Halloween night, Halloween
yeah,
night.
well, because they don't know
Yeah,
better. I
they
mean, growing
don't.
up, we never really knew what Halloween meant. It meant dressing up and going to trick or treat to get all these really, all these goodies
Right.
and just having fun. And I mean, this is where we're saying it's a little difficult because, you know, as Christians or believers of God, we're not supposed to celebrate Halloween, right?
Right.
But also at the same time, it's like when you have kids, because they're so young, and even though they're innocent and they don't really truly know the meaning of Halloween, how far do we let it go, right?
Right.
Because we want them to somewhat have a normal
Childhood.
childhood, and that's something that's going to arise as well when me and Ryan have kids, that it's funny because I went for a massage actually the other day, and my masseuse, he was Christian, so we started talking about COVID and the shot and Halloween because it was coming up, and he said, growing up, he's like, my parents never let me celebrate Halloween. I said, really? And I'm like, how did you feel about that?
Hmm.
And he said, you know what? They were just always honest with me. So, like, they told me why we didn't celebrate it. But, on Halloween, we would, go to a movie or something like that with some of our friends.
Right.
And they made something fun of it. And they were just always really honest with us. And he's like, I never felt that we were missing out.
Right.
And I thought
There's
that was
ways.
very surprising, right?
That's very cool.
And like how he said that and how it was brought up, and because it can be looked at as a negative thing, like, are you being too much, like why can't you let kids be kids? And it's really all innocent and fun, but really, is it though, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know,
Exactly.
it's a tough one for us because we don't, a lot of our family and friends, they have kids and they dress up. I mean, for me, I like the creativity behind Halloween,
Me too.
like doing your makeup and
And I never really
costumes. And
dressed up scary.
I
I
mean,
know you used to,
I
you,
do, I
you,
liked it because I liked scaring people because I thought it was fun or funny because I'm a prankster.
right.
But also, I mean, when I was dressing up scary, it wasn't like I was trying to worship the devil, right? It
No.
was more just for like the creative process of making your own Halloween costume and doing your own like special effects makeup. That was the
Right.
main thing. The
It's
older I got,
more of the creativity
yeah.
part of it than the, yeah.
Like
Which,
when I was young, it was all about the candy or the chips, I should say.
oh yeah.
And then growing up, and then going to the bar, getting
Yes.
drunk,
Oh
wearing
my
little outfits, and
gosh.
then now it's
Sexy
just more.
outfits.
It's more, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like both Peter and I are on the same page, like about so many things. Like a lot of the holidays
hmm
are, there's always some sort of like, I don't know, pagan kind of whatever rituals that are associated with it. Like,
yeah,
Easter, the Easter bunny. Like, I actually refuse to tell Catalina. She's not gonna be asking about the Easter bunny. And yeah, whatever. You people can talk to me and be like, you're taking away her childhood. I don't want to lie to my child and then like, because I remember even with Christmas, because Christmas is obviously coming up.
Mhm.
Um, like, I remember talking about Santa, but like being very quickly, like disillusioned from that fact and realizing he wasn't real because my parents weren't into telling us that he was real, and like they let us figure it out
Mhm.
that he wasn't real. And I appreciate that because I don't know, I just don't really want to be like them believing in things that are not true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I get it. I think,
I get it. Like I do see it, the
yeah, I mean,
point.
I think with everything, like
It's a
uh,
fine line sometimes.
yeah, they're trying to come up with something so that you have something excited to look forward to when you're a kid. Like
Totally.
Halloween, you dress up and you get candy. And then Christmas, if you're good, then Santa Claus comes and gives you presents. So it kind of, there's a reason for it,
Right.
but I
It's
get where
trying
you're
to
coming
keep
from.
kids on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
But I
If you
also
do
feel
this, then you
like,
get this. And,
right. But I also feel like the same thing as what you said, your masseuse, that there is a way to still have them have their childhood, but explain to them, yeah, like
the true
about
meaning of
Jesus
it.
and
Yeah.
stuff, and like have them watch different shows that show them about,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
and I think it's like you
Jesus.
said, it's hard because when Catalea and Tori grow up and they want to go trick or treating with their friends and they wonder why they can't and then why can't they dress up, it's going to be tough because that's a call that you and your husband will have to make and decide, right? And it's, yeah, it's a fine line, but also it is, it's if you tell them the truth and then it's up to you guys,
Yeah, and
how
I'm
you want to do that,
prepared.
right? And I think that's going to be the same with me and Ryan. And that's the thing too. Like, yes, my husband believes in God, and but we're just on different pages when it comes to our spiritual level. And when we have kids, that's just something that we're going to have to talk about, and we might butt heads a little bit, but
Right.
we're going to have to compromise and meet in middle ground somewhere,
Right.
and just go from there because at this point, like, I can't say that when I have kids that they're not going to be allowed to celebrate Halloween
Right.
or dress up or go trick-or-treating. I mean, like I said before, like I mean, they could dress up as characters in the Bible and like hand
Right.
out mini testaments or something if
Yeah.
I want to be that extreme.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
you know?
there's I've seen some very cute costumes, like especially for
Like
little
little
kids.
angels and stuff are
Yeah,
cute.
little angels, or just like
Little sheeps.
people dressing up
The
as like
lamb.
their little kids as like little like old people,
Yeah,
like,
that's the
and so
cutest.
that's so cute,
Super cute.
like things like that. So there's a way to have fun with it. There's a way to um celebrate it without it being about,
Sacrifices and
right,
cults and
exactly. I think it can be a fun night. It can be something where it's like, okay, we're playing dress up tonight, right?
mhm.
But also too, I mean, I don't know, I'm not like a big huge candy person. I never really have been. Like, we used to like sometimes stop and get like the 5-cent candies, like cola
Mhm.
bottles and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but like I've never been like a person who's just like super sweetsy. So anyway, that didn't really, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
trick-or-treating was fun, but it was more to see how much of a haul you could get than
Yeah. Oh
really
yeah.
it was like anything else.
Well, I
So
mean, to be honest, free, something
right.
free, and like my favorite were the little chip bags.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
always trade my brothers for the little mini chip bags over the candy. But I remember being kids and like, we'd be playing some games and what would we gamble with? Our candy.
That's
The
so
ones that
funny.
we our best ones and like the ones we didn't like, we'd put it in like a pile.
It's like, here's my
Yeah.
pot,
And then
all
if
in
we
it.
lost the game, then you have to, they're allowed to take one of your like favorite candies.
That's
And then
so
you kind of
funny.
switch it. And that's what I remember doing like growing up. It was the best. And,
That's cool.
I think even with Halloween, like they say, oh, like you're not supposed to trick or treat anymore when you're like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like no matter how old you are, if you want to trick or treat like up to you're 18, like you should be able allowed to. But I've heard stories of people just slamming doors and people's faces, like, teenagers' faces, because they're like 6'1" or 6'2"
Right.
with a mask on. It's like, you're way too old to be trick-or-treating. I think that's wrong. That's just rude.
Well,
Because you could be
it's
12 and look like you're 18, or you can be
that's
10,
so true.
you know?
Yeah, it's true. there's a lot of kids, especially in this day and age, and the things that
That's
are
in the
put in our
food.
food.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The
That
hormones and the
yeah,
steroids.
there's kids who look like they are like
Yeah.
20 and they're not. I mean, yeah. It's crazy the development some of these kids. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I don't agree with that either. And I don't know, we just don't really like, to be honest, we don't celebrate, like we don't really hand out candy or do any of that stuff. We do
I
something
stopped
else.
celebrating it. Like I
Yeah.
did like 2 or 3 years ago, like before I got baptized as a Christian and
Right.
actually started to dive into what it really was. I used to enjoy like painting pumpkins and like decorating it and like dressing up my dogs. And I still do sometimes for their Instagram, but not, I don't know, it's tough, right? Because it's something that you've grown up with all your life. And then all of a sudden to think a little differently about it is hard, right?
Oh, for
And that's the
sure.
thing, like I was telling Erica, I said, I think, when people think, oh, you're a Christian or you believe in God, that you have to live so holy and so righteous, that you have to be worried about everything and the meaning behind everything
Right.
and completely just change who you are. But I think being a Christian means that you try each and every day, that you still make mistakes, but you're still working towards to be a better person. And
You're always striving to be better than you were yesterday,
yeah,
right? And
mm-hmm.
you're yeah,
Because
because
no
I
one's
think that's
perfect.
what
Yeah.
that's the thing. And I think that's the problem with like Christians sometimes, and also the problem with people who aren't Christian
Yeah.
and their judgments on Christians, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that
Well, she's
person did
Christian, but she
this.
did this, or
Yeah.
she said this, or
Right.
it,
You can never like move past your past mistakes or whatever,
yeah, or
because
oh,
we've all
she
done
said this or
things.
that. That's not very Christian of her.
Right. Exactly. But I mean, like we all are growing, changing human beings. And like just because like actually I saw this on one of my memories on Facebook today. It's
Okay.
like, yeah, it was like talking about how just because like don't let people tell you that just because that was who you were before, that means who you are now. Like it's called growth. It's called
Yeah.
like moving on. You see the error of your ways a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect. Yeah. I mean, we've said things about people and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and do I regret some of it? Maybe sometimes, but at the same time, like I'm also an honest person. If you're my friend or if you know me, like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to know what my true honest opinion is, then don't ask me.
Yeah. Well, and I think anybody who truly knows us knows that we are blunt, that we're just straight up. That's why our show is called Point Blank, because we don't really beat around the bush. We will tell you how it is. We don't intentionally come out to like hurt your feelings, but if you want the truth bomb, like we are going to just tell you how it is.
Exactly. And yeah, it's never meant to be like malicious or mean or like a mean girl or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
because I despise bullying.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have like this is a common misperception too. I think people just like think that certain people were bullies and like but we can bully people in different ways, right? I think we've
Yeah.
all been bullies
Yeah. Well, and I
in
think because we
certain
choose to
ways.
broadcast what we talk about and the drama happening in our life, that, maybe some people are like, oh, she's saying this and that, but it's reality. And it doesn't matter like what you look like, how old you get, if you're rich or poor. I mean, we all deal with the same drama at one point in our life or not. And a lot of it just stems from jealousy and insecurity.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're just here talking about it because that's what we do. And we just want to be relatable, and that
Well, and be real and not
just be real. Yeah.
be genuine and
That,
not
yes, like here we
be
are, we're, you know,
yeah, like I
going through this
going
stuff and
through
we're
all
not
these
20
different
years old,
things.
but sometimes it's just out of your hands. And sometimes I think you always go back to be like, was there something I should have said or did differently? And then you realize, well, no, it just played out the way it was supposed to, because that's just, there's a reason behind everything that happens, or
Yeah.
why you lose friends, certain friends, or you gain new friends. There's always a reason behind it. And sometimes at the moment when you're stuck in the middle of it, you can't see the reason. But when you take
Exactly.
a step back and you actually see somebody for who they truly are and you see their true colors, sometimes you don't want to go back because you see why God has revealed that to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
That's so
and
true.
speaking of that, so in the last episode there, when I was talking about Serene, so after that, no, she's never tried reaching out to me to even try to talk to me or even want to work it out. And but at this point, I'm already just completely done because I just see her character and I just find it very childish and immature. And then, anyways, I went on Instagram because when we fought, I ended up removing her and deleting all her contact because I just didn't want to deal with it. And then I went on Instagram and it showed that she followed me again. And then she must have heard or watched about like the first episode. And then all of a sudden she unfollowed me. And really, I don't lose any sleep over it. I think if you call me sister and we've been friends for 12 years and you can easily let go of our friendship, then I don't need you. I don't need to
Right.
chase somebody who doesn't see the value in who I am and what I bring to the table in our friendship, right?
100%.
If you don't see my value and what
Right.
I'm worth and what I bring into your life, I am not going to chase you. Have a good life. Go make some new fake friends and be
People
busy. And
pleasers
I
like
just,
you.
I'd rather have one loyal friend than 100 fake friends. So to each their own.
Oh yeah. No, and I totally agree with you 100% on that. It just illuminates what is, in their heart, and especially that they can also cut out other people who have nothing to do with what's going on. And I'm talking
Yeah.
about like how you guys had
A group,
a
yeah, and
group,
she's cut out another friend that she's known for a little bit longer, maybe 14 years,
really.
because she didn't agree with her and
Right.
took her side right away, like middle schoolers. And then now, actually, me and her other friend, we've gotten a lot closer.
Right.
And like, actually, me and her other friend, we're all meeting up for brunch tomorrow.
Awesome.
And so sometimes when it closes a door, it opens up other doors, and you just have to take it for what it is and just find amazing new people that will love and accept you for you and just be the best person you can be. Just because somebody can't see your value or your worth doesn't mean that you need to dull your sparkle because somebody can't handle it. Mm-mm.
Right.
You keep on shining.
Totally. So also,
She dropped some stuff off for you.
oh God.
Do you want to talk about that briefly?
Well, we'll just briefly talk
Yeah,
about it
and then
because
we'll be done with
honestly, I
it.
don't really care.
But I just find it a little
I
amusing and weird,
just,
but also not really because I know her.
well, so this Serene dropped off some things for my girls, which I ended up throwing all in the garbage because there was a used toothbrush in there, used kids' toothbrush, and I was just like so disgusted because it's like a lack of respect for me and like things that are open that have been used and stuff. Like there's one thing for like gently used things, but like
I totally get it.
hygienically a toothbrush.
Yeah.
Like you really think I'm gonna put that in my daughter's mouth? Like I was just so like annoyed.
I think you were shocked. You were
I
like,
was shocked and annoyed, and then also with that, her saying that it was her husband who dropped it off, and that he rang the doorbell, which didn't happen, and like
yeah, because you guys were home.
we
You
were
guys just
home,
had
and then
a
someone else
delivery.
delivered something, and we heard, so the doorbell was working. We have a camera there too, so
I think because she knows that we're good friends and that, you know, she probably thinks that she didn't want it to be uncomfortable, but then she's still trying to declutter her home and just give
Right.
stuff away or recycle them.
Right.
Because
get rid of the garbage in your home and give it to me. Like you can just stuff that up your.
Because one of my other friends, so one of my other good friends, she moved to Toronto, one of my best friends.
I
If
was
you
gonna
guys,
ask
yeah,
you
if you
about
guys
that.
know me and see my pictures on Instagram and Facebook, you know, kind of there's our crew.
Right.
And I mean, it's been changing,
Yeah.
especially this year. But one of my best friends, she moved to Toronto a few months ago, and she was just back here. She's still down for a few more weeks, and we went for brunch. And I just kind of updated her and everything, and she said she was actually really shocked. She didn't see it coming because we were really tight. But I told her, you know, she might not see it coming, but now that I've taken a step back, I see why it happened. And she said that she messaged her
Mm-hmm.
in September. So we fought at the end of September, right?
Right.
So early September, she messaged her, hey, how's it going? You know, like, how are you? And then she messaged back, Serene messaged back and said, I'm good, you know, like, when are you coming down? And we should get together.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend said she messaged her telling her, yeah, I'm going to be down during these dates. And then nothing. And you know her, she usually likes to follow up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, she makes her rounds with you and like all of my other friends, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to make plans or just checking in and just seeing how everybody is and like
Right. Which I also told you that I feel is like,
for a show.
yeah, I feel like it's a for show. It's like disingenuous. I feel like there is an agenda even when there's gifts being given. Like, well, for instance, the gifts that we were given that went straight into the garbage were like nasty things that were in her cluttered home
Yeah.
that she wants to get rid of because she hoards.
Well, and that's the thing, like, I don't know. I mean, to each their own, but also like some people might appreciate it, but for me, I would be embarrassed, but everybody's a little different when it comes to what they would give and what they wouldn't, right?
Well,
But I mean, when you told me to use toothbrush, I laughed. I laughed so hard because I just couldn't even believe that because I
who
know
does
you
that?
too.
Yeah.
Exactly who does that?
Who
Okay?
does that?
You don't
Honestly.
no used toothbrush, no used underwear, no used condom here. Like, who knows what else? Like,
Use
there's
panties? Like what?
certain things that you just do not recycle,
No.
and it doesn't matter how much it costs. You still don't give it. You just
No.
go put it in the garbage.
And especially in this time of COVID, too.
Exactly.
Which
I mean, if
and
you
it's
really
so
want
funny,
to donate
too.
it, even Sally Ann probably won't take half that stuff. You know.
No. I would, Lisa, I would not have given those things to a homeless person. That I'm telling you. No. Because like people have dignity too. And
Yeah.
you need to respect them.
And really-
that's just so undignified. I mean, we talked about the Dora doll that she gave that was
Yeah,
like
creepy.
super freaky and creepy that like I gave back to her, but
Yeah.
like honestly, ugh.
And I told you to
So
because you didn't
creepy.
want to hurt her feelings. And I was like, well, if you don't want it, just tell her because I know that it was something that her daughter had growing up. So it had some sentimental value.
Right.
And I remember when she told me that she was going to give it to you because she wanted it to go to good use because she had it for so long and she actually wanted to give it to me when I had kids. And I was like, don't you dare give me that creepy ass thing. You know? And then she's like, oh, then what about Erica? Like, you won't mind. And I'm like, oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, Erica don't want it. Okay? No. Don't. Just don't. And I'm not, trust me, I'm not a person who's like, oh, I
Against-
can't.
yeah.
Like, we have plenty of clothes and stuff from people who've passed on clothes to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, was a lifesaver when we were, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, we have a bit more money to buy some newer stuff. So that's not what it's about. Like blankets or things like that, where you can wash them, you can sanitize them,
Yeah.
right? It's
Or even,
also
like-
about. It's more about my kids and like them not getting sick from certain things. And like, I'm sorry, a toothbrush, gross.
A used toothbrush? Don't do that. People, if you have used toothbrushes, do not recycle them and give them to other people unless it's your husband and you forgot your toothbrush and he can use your toothbrush if you're on vacation. But even at that point, the dollar store will have, you know, brand new toothbrushes. And when you go to the dentist, you get them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't know. It just blows my mind because it's not something that I would do, but also who knows what's going on there. for her,
Well,
right?
just use it for scrubbing whatever too.
The
Like,
toilet.
right? Yeah, exactly. Like,
If you can't.
seriously, you can find other uses for your used toothbrush than
It's
that.
so ridiculous. Like we're talking about a used toothbrush
Oh my
that an
gosh.
ex-friend gave to you. That's so,
I just
it's,
was so flabbergasted.
yeah, that's how I feel right now.
I like the fact that you would think that that was okay.
When he texted me that, I just could not stop laughing. I was laughing so hard. I was like crying because I just couldn't believe it. You know, and if she ever tried to do that to me, I would have told her, and that's probably why she knows who she can get away with. Because if she was to come up to the door and you look through that, you wouldn't have taken any of it.
No.
But it's like she does the sneaky thing where she drops, like drops it off, being like, "Look at me, I'm a good person. I give you this, I give you that."
Right.
But then it's like all of this stuff you have, a lot of it is junk. Nobody
Exactly.
wants it. You don't want it. That's why you're trying to give it away.
Exactly.
And at that point, like you should just be loading up your husband's truck and taking it to the dump.
That's
Maybe you don't want to pay for the dump, and that's why you're dropping it off at people's house.
I said she doesn't want to pay to go to the dump to dump her stuff, so therefore she
slowly
passes it off to her friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you that really pissed me off. Don't.
Yeah.
Honestly, which is probably why I haven't heard from her. And good. Don't talk to me. Thank you. Bye. Next.
Yeah.
So
anyways.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So I got my second Pfizer shot a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Holy tornado. Where do I begin, you guys?
Oh my gosh.
Where do I begin? So
scary.
Me and Ryan went to go get it. And it was fine. You know, we waited maybe 40 minutes, literally 30 seconds. That's it. And I was honestly expecting from talking to friends and colleagues, they got like a 24-hour flu. Right? So chills and, little things like that, like a chill and a cough and a fever, then it was gone in 24 hours. So I got it Sunday night, and Monday, that's what I was expecting. Right? To kind of go through that. And I didn't get that. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, I started getting these weird, slight chest pains. Ugh. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, am I hallucinating? Am I just imagining it? Right? Because I'm pretty healthy. I don't have any underlying issues. I don't have any heart conditions or asthma or anything like that. I'm pretty healthy. I have hay fever,
Yeah.
Seasonal allergies. So when that happened, and then I kind of brushed it off, and I felt the tight pressure again, and I felt like my heart was beating really fast. And then I was like, I think I started to freak myself out, and I was like, you know what? I looked online, and there were it was myocarditis and all that stuff, heart condition. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, don't tell me I have this. And then it was all in my head, so I had to book an appointment with my doctor to get checked out because I was freaking out Erica. Yeah. So I went to go see my doctor, and then I told her, and she's like, well, we need to you have to go to the urgent care right now to get in whatever ECG and a blood test and a bunch of stuff just to make sure. Right. So she's like, go home. And she's like, go home. And then she's like, it's just go to the emergency. And then she gave me some paperwork. And so I got home, called my boss because, I was still working. I told her I had to go to the doctor. Right. And then I called her. I was talking to her and telling her I had to go to emergency, and I was bawling my eyes out because I was scared, and I was thinking the worst. Right. And she's like, Lisa, calm down. She's like, if something was wrong, the doctor, because she did, she checked out my heart and my back and whatever, breathing a little bit. She was like, if something was wrong, the doctor would have called 911 right there. Right. Yeah. And so that calmed me down. She's like, call your husband, get him to come home and take you, and just everything's going to be okay. And then, so I text my husband, then right when I was calling him, he put do you want me to come home? And then I call him, and I was you can tell I was crying. Mm-hmm. He's like, do you want me to come? I'm like, yeah. Like a big baby. And then he came home, and then they wouldn't let him in still. So we went to emergency, and they let him come in with me to sign in and take my blood pressure and like get my stupid bracelet. And then he had to leave. So he just went back to work. And I was there for hours.
Yeah.
Hours, Erica, hours. And like I was, they did the ECG and
Right.
then some blood tests. She like, I hate needles.
Yeah.
And I was like telling her, I'm like, can you give me like a baby needle? Because I'm allergic. And she's like, oh, she's like, you're getting an IV needle. Like, there's just one size. And I'm like, oh. And then I told her that she should do the right side because every time I get a blood test, they say that the right side, the vein's easier to find.
Right.
And they always have a hard time on my right side. So I told her left, but she's like, I'm gonna try your right. So she's poking
I don't
at
like
it.
that. See, like that. Sorry, I'm
She was
sorry to
young.
interrupt your
Yeah,
story, but I really hate these.
When they don't listen to you.
Yeah, because they're trying to be a freaking superhero.
Mhm.
Like, listen to me. I know my own body.
Mhm.
Yeah, that pisses me off.
Mhm.
And they're not supposed to be poking you like several times.
Yeah, so she poked me and then she's like, oh, you have a good vein here. So then she poked it and she's like, oh, wait, no blood's coming out. Let me try the other side. So at this point, like, yeah, so she poked my left side and then it was, of course, the blood came out of that one. And then I waited to get my results. And, the whole time I, was like, even all day, like before I went to the hospital, I was praying.
Right.
And it's like, it was so weird because as soon as I prayed, I felt calm, but also something was telling me, you know what? All those tests are going to come back negative and it's going to show that I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. I know it.
Right.
Even though I felt like I was having a heart attack. I felt like if I could imagine what a heart attack felt like, that those were the mild symptoms.
Right.
So yeah, and that's what happened. So I sat there and the doctor came and he gave me all my stats on paper and he said, you're good. He's like, you're healthy. And he's like, unfortunately, he's like, it's actually a very common rare side effect. Like, you're not the first person.
Right.
And I was like, it's awful. And, at that point, like, couldn't take it back because I already got the shot, right? And,
Right.
I was like, did I do the right thing? Or, I started to question it and I was like, was it just all in my head? I'm like, obviously there's something in here for sure. And so then I said that I was going to like monitor. He said, just monitor your symptoms. If you feel like off or anything, then go see your doctor again. And then after that, like nothing, Erica. I didn't get anything again. And I just been doing a lot of fasting and praying as well.
Right.
On top of that. So I feel like that is helping me as well. And it's like, I don't know, they're going to have to hold me down for a booster shot because I don't know. No, it's just too much. It's too much. I felt like I was doing the right thing because I want to protect me and my loved ones and just kind of have somewhat of a normal life and just do the normal things that
Right.
I enjoy doing. And then now it's just like
Which I think
this
is
booster,
why a lot of people.
yeah, this booster shot and this booster shot. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like there's this rhetoric that if you don't get it, that you're selfish and you're putting people in danger. I mean, I had a friend, like full on complaining on Facebook saying like her daughter's, like Baby and Me class got canceled, and blaming people for not getting vaccinated. But how do you 100% know that it's people who weren't vaccinated? Like, you can't just without facts just say that it's because like
Yeah.
people who are vaccinated still can spread COVID.
Yeah. It's supposed to just help lessen the symptoms.
Right. But I mean, it's like I've had COVID and it's like they're trying to tell me, oh, it's still better if you get the shot. Like, but all throughout history and every time it's like, oh, if you got chicken pox, then it's better than like getting the vaccine for it and stuff. So
Yeah.
and people would
Nobody
literally
knows.
put
Nobody
their
knows.
kids in with somebody who had chicken pox
Yeah.
so that they would get chicken pox so that they would have immunity. So like, I don't know. There's just too many. My problem with it is that the stories keep changing. It's not consistent. At first, they said that for women having the shot who were pregnant, that it was not safe.
Yeah.
And then
now they're saying
now
it's
they're
good.
saying it's safe and that it's actually you're more high at risk if you are pregnant and you don't have
And you
it.
don't get it yet.
I mean, like, what
It's
are
all
we
over the
supposed to
place.
believe? It's all over the place.
And that's the thing. So like when that happened to me, Ryan's like, oh, he's like, well, I get a little of the chest pains too. So he's like, then I started thinking like, am I like getting
Right.
the same symptoms? And then my friend, I told you, so one of my good friends, um, she got it a few, like 1 or 2 days after me, same weekend anyways. And then I text her, to talk to her and tell her, like, told her what happened. And then she's like, me too. She's like, I just got an x-ray for my chest because I started getting these like mild chest pains too. And she's like, I thought like, what's happening? Am I having a heart attack? Like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, came back clear. She's like, doctor gave me an inhaler for my asthma. That's it. Sent me off. And it's like, well, obviously there's something because there's a few of us, right, that are having these symptoms. But like I said, I mean, now that it's been a few weeks, I don't have anything,
Right.
which I'm really grateful and blessed because
Oh, for
those feelings are
sure.
never like, it's never good to think that you could be allergic to something or that your body would reject it somehow and would be life changing, right? It's always scary
Right.
to get any kind of vaccine or medication because you don't know how your body is going to react to it. They can only estimate that, okay, like out of 1 million people, there's going to be 10,000 people who are going to have like side effects that
Adverse
could be
effects. Yeah.
permanent, but we don't know. We can't guarantee this.
Well, and that's the problem. And like, what gets to me is because I've had several different occasions where I've been prescribed certain medications or whatever, and I have been that like whatever percent that has had that adverse reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. I do question what the doctors tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they always know what's best. I mean, yes, science, but just because of science doesn't mean that like each individual is a different person. You can't just blanket
Yeah.
give whatever to whoever because
Mm-hmm.
people have allergies to certain medications. It can create like different episodes for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, I had my episode of like drug induced psychosis, which wasn't fun, which I will talk about a little bit more later on too. Um, but yeah, like I've had allergic reactions like all over body rash. So yeah, I don't always trust what the doctor says. I have to go with my gut as to what I feel is best for my body. And you can tell me I'm
Mm-hmm.
stupid for doing that, but I know my body better than any doctor. So I'm going to go by that, and especially my previous history to know,
And I think
right?
what I've also come to like realize too, and we've talked about this a little bit in the last episode, was that there is no right or wrong way to follow God. I feel like He gives some of us
Different instructions.
different instructions, some to get the vaccine, some to not get the vaccine, so that because every journey and every story is different to where we need to go to where He is,
Right.
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 Because it wouldn't make sense that everybody would have to do the same thing because we all think differently, and it just makes sense that He would let some of us take it and some of us not for a particular purpose because obviously He sees the big picture, right? And
Exactly.
like I said, I have been so in tune with God lately, I feel like the last few years, and just when I fasted and prayed and asked for direction, I felt like that's where He was leading me. And like I said, it came with like calmness and peace and understanding, and it wasn't all anxiety and panic and stuff like that I felt when I was thinking about it and what I should do, right? Like that was just a hard decision.
Well, for 100%, because also like you were saying before, like yeah, like part of the reason too you wanted to get back to normal life, and there's a lot of people who, yeah, because it's not fun right now being an unvaccinated person. First of all, people are being vilified. Second of all, like yeah, like it's pretty much becoming like a Gestapo state where people can't do,
You can't even eat in the mall. Like
yeah,
there's just
you can't do anything really. You can get takeout, you can get, and yes, I realize that is people's choice, but I also feel like the just certain things that are being said. It's like the unvaccinated are the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hi, like
Hmm.
this is not like we're not in a war
Yeah.
where people have weapons. It's like almost like people think, yeah, like basically I have a knife and I'm gonna come stab you because if I
Hmm.
don't have the vaccine, it's ridiculous. And people need to
People are
smarten up.
entitled to their opinions and what they want to do with their body, and they shouldn't be treated any differently. And whatever the government's doing now, it's not working.
It's not.
But
There's
also at the
so
same
many.
time, it's like,
There's pushback.
yeah, same time, it's just like, yeah, I'm
It's
over it.
but I'm over it too, and I'm over people who've known people for how long, suddenly thinking because of one decision that makes them a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever. It's annoying. It's really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't have time for that. Like if you want to judge me and be like, "Oh, you're not a good person and you don't think about other people," then you can kiss my black ass. Thank you.
Well, and I think this is what we were saying. It was interesting, even though we have a lot in common and stuff like that, was that the direction I felt God led me to take, and then the direction that you went. And even though we're here and we're talking about it, but we've gone in different directions, but we're still able to love and respect each other still and be adults and talk about it. And these are my experiences. And I could have been like, oh yeah, I got my second shot, everything was great, like it's good, I made the right decision.
Right.
And you know me, like I don't hide it from you. Like if I felt like went to the hospital because I felt like there was issues, like
Right.
whether you said I told you so or not, like I don't really care. I'm gonna
And
be
I
honest with you and
wouldn't,
tell you, right? Like,
because like I don't want people to have adverse. If you decide to have it, I want it to go well for you. Like,
mm-hmm,
why would I wish that's not a friend, right?
mm-hmm,
Like
you're
I
right.
was concerned and more like, oh
Yeah.
my
And
gosh,
that's why, and
right?
well, because this is the first time I'm telling you,
Right.
because we decided to keep it for the episode so that we can talk about it, so that your
Right.
reaction is genuine. Because,
Right.
of course I wanted to text you and like tell you everything, but I'm like, this will be good for the
Yeah.
to talk about it because it's real life and it's what we're going through. And this is the world that we live in right now. And to think that this is already November of 2021 and 2022 is around the corner. It's insane.
It's so insane.
It is so crazy. And we just had Remembrance Day.
Yes, I was just gonna say.
So I just
Sick
wanted
you're
to
in my
say,
head.
yeah, thank you for everybody who sacrificed their life for our freedom.
Yeah.
We will always remember you, and we just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. I am also wanting to say to our Indigenous people, like there were so many of you that fought in the world wars and weren't recognized because either you had to give up your status or weren't even okay, it's not. Oh my gosh. Either you had to give up your status or had to like just sign up and you weren't recognized when you did so much to save a country that took away your land and treats you guys just terribly. And yes, I'm saying all this stuff because honestly, I'm just really sick and tired of people with their bull and saying that people who have Indigenous status, Métis status, are getting things from the government for free. Let's just be very, very clear. The government took very like great prize lands that Indigenous people were farming, and yes, because that is what they do. They use the whole land. They any animals that they kill, everything is used. It's nothing goes to waste. They're very good at fostering the land, harvesting the land. And because they could see that, then they took that land away from them, put them on reserves where very often there's not clean water, not like it's inhumane, some of the places that they are. So for people to say that they're getting everything for free just like disgusts me. And I am just not with it. Nothing here is free, even though we have free healthcare. It's not free either.
Mm-hmm.
You pay that with your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, the government is going to get the money from you one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
if you seriously think that they're just getting free money, and like, would you trade places with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So please. And so I just really want to put that out there because there's so many
Mm-hmm.
of different races who are not recognized because at the time, um, yeah, that was how it was. Like,
Yeah.
that they weren't given Canadian status, they weren't recognized as being even human, but yet still they could go and have a gun and go fight for this land. So respect needs to be on that. So
Mm-hmm.
we appreciate all who serve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amen.
Sorry for my rant,
No,
but
I think
I'm
that's
just very
just,
passionate
yeah.
about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a good shout out. I think to try not to forget, certain people, right?
Right.
And their
And to realize
sacrifices
how
and
privileged we
mm-hmm.
are,
Yeah.
and the fact that we wouldn't be sitting here, the fact that me and you are sitting here together,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
two women of color doing this
Mm-hmm.
is crazy,
Yeah,
right?
especially in the midst of what's happening and everything just being brought to light with a lot of like the Asian hate and the Black Lives Matter. It's actually, that's crazy.
It is
I feel like
so crazy.
it leads us to where we are because really,
Right. Because it's, there's a very common misconception that Canada is like, there's no racism here, and it's just very funny to me. There's so many instances that, like, I'm sure personally, we have talked about it before, personally, but like people that we know, just things that we see in the news, like it's not
no, they're among us and there's lots of them.
right.
And usually you can tell who they are right away with how they look at you or how they talk to you. And in this day and age, that you would think with social media and everything, some of them just don't care still. They're so obvious about it. And, there's one person they have to deal with, and it's
Yep.
so not, it is what it is,
Only
right?
to him can judge, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I just wanted to put that out there because I do feel, yeah, I just feel like there's such a stigma around the Indigenous peoples, and there's so much like vitriol that's flung out, and it's like very hard to get out of a situation that you didn't put yourself in the first place.
Yeah.
And there's generational things that are in your, like, generational trauma is very real, and it's not just obviously like in people of color's families. Like, there's a lot of different things that happen in people's families that it repeats itself over and over. So once it becomes a habit, basically, and you don't even know that that's not your stuff, you have to really be willing to look inside, work through that stuff, try and work and figure out a way to cut that off and say, I will be the last person, it stops with me here. But it's, not everybody is strong enough to do that, or has the resources to do that, has people willing to help them see that, or even, like I said, realizes that that is part of their, like, kind of DNA, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully in the future it gets better, but
I hope so.
at this point, I think, the only thing you can do is just pray for them because, like you said, it starts within the family. And if that's the way they're raised, that's the only thing that they know. And that's just how they're going to treat people, whether of color. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just education. I think a lot of times they're scared because they don't know.
Right.
And it's a lack of education. So
Yeah.
it's easier to be rude and racist because they think it's okay or it's funny than to actually understand certain people and cultures
Right.
and why they do and say, certain things,
Behave
right?
in certain ways.
Exactly. Just because they look different than you and they do different things, does that make them a bad person? Like, it just blows my mind, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's why that's brings us to where we are. If life was easy and everybody was just perfect and everything was just people acted the way they should, then there would be no problems and issues in life. And
Right. Well, we wouldn't be here,
we
right?
wouldn't be
We'd all
here.
be in heaven.
Exactly.
It would just be like, yeah.
Yeah.
But life is life, and we're meant to learn lessons and to better ourselves, help other people, to
Yeah.
find the right path as well. And some people never will, because that also is a choice. Like,
Yeah, it is.
because it's, I used to think there were bad people and good people, but I've realized there's people who make bad choices or good choices, and it's like anything, it's a habit. So if you
Bad habits
habitually
to you.
yes, so if you make good habits, like good choices, like that's a habit. It's easier for you to make those good choices, but once you start making bad choices, it's easier to continue doing that as well, and then it starts to become a pattern, and then it's a lot harder to break that off and to switch it around. It's
and
possible
I
though.
also think too, maybe like, school needs to teach a little bit more about diversity and different cultures so that people
Well, how about we talk
become
about the real history?
educated on it. Exactly. Right? I mean, it's crazy.
It is. Like, how about we talk about, just because someone was a prime minister of our country, like, why is it that when people die, like, all we talk about is their good things? Like, yeah, there's a lot of skeletons in people's closets. I mean, I want people to be real about me when, like, and say, yeah, like, I hope people say Erica was a good person, but I hope they also remember some, like, do you remember the time when Erica was being a little stubborn bitch? Like, seriously, because
Just keeping it real, because
yeah, like,
all
I'm
of a
not
sudden
perfect.
anybody who passes away, they're all of a sudden they're an angel and they could do no wrong. And,
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with highlighting the good things about the person, but also just to be real,
Yeah,
about them.
just be real about them and don't, like, sugarcoat it. Like, I don't want to be remembered as a saint, because I wasn't always.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I had fun being bad. Like, so, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we? No, I don't think we should do that.
No.
Anyways.
And what we also wanted to talk about was, everybody has dreams or
Yes.
memories. You dream about people from your past, maybe friends or exes that you used to be with. And I always find when that happens, you either hear from them or hear about them.
Right.
And I feel like that's always something that God wants you to pray for them. Maybe they're going through good times, hard times. Anyways, I was telling you a few weeks ago. So one of my friends posted a picture, and then it's like I saw a comment from this girl, but her name wasn't, like, she kind of changed her name.
Right.
It was just like now people just do abbreviations of their first and middle name.
Right.
And so for some odd reason, out of like all the messages she had on there, I clicked on her.
Right.
And it was like one of my ex best friends from like over 10 years ago. And we had like a huge falling out.
Yeah.
We used to live together, and you heard all that drama. And so we haven't talked in years.
You move.
Yeah, you helped me move.
In my Toyota Celica.
And haven't talked to her or seen her or anything. We left in like really bad terms. Like the bridge was really burned.
Right.
And then I clicked on her photo, and then I was like, oh, holy, this is like so-and-so. And for some odd reason, I
looked nothing like her. Like that.
Yeah, she just looked different. And for some odd reason, like, I told Erica, I'm like, yeah, it's weird that she came up, and I was thinking about them the other day. And so I prayed for them. And then I feel like the older I get, the more mature I am. And the ones that I felt like the doors were not closed, or like there was no closure, I always feel like I have to reach out, Not all the time, but most of the time, because now that I'm mature and I'm not like an immature 20-year-old
Right.
wanting to have the last word or just being like that. So I messaged her.
Oh, you did.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, just before you continue on, but remember I said to you like that's funny. I was thinking about these people
Yes.
too.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
was like yeah, because that
So
happens to me so much too.
yeah.
And
And
I'll
it's
think
a
about people
there's
and they
definitely a
come up.
reason. And yeah,
Oh yeah.
if you think about somebody, maybe just give them a quick send a quick prayer their way or pray for them when you're praying for your daily prayers.
Right.
So
So
I messaged her,
oh
right?
okay.
Yeah, so I messaged her. I said, "Hey," I said, "it's been a long time. Just for some odd reason, I clicked on, like, I just saw your comment and something made me click on your picture. And I was like, whoa. And I realized it was you. I said, I hope that you're doing well. I hope that, like, all your dreams came true." And I was just mature about it. And I said, I just, whatever was in the past, I hope that we can just, clear the air and just move on.
Hmm.
And just, like, I left it at that. And I said, if you don't message me back, I totally understand. But I just wanted to let you know how I felt and how I felt bad about how we,
Left things.
yeah, how we left things and how we just ended things, right?
Right.
The mature side of Lisa coming out.
Yeah.
And then she messaged me back. She's like, you know
Oh
what, Lisa, it's so good to hear from you. She's like, it looks like you're doing good. And like, I don't hate you. And, you have many great qualities. And yeah, it was good. And I was like,
wow.
so, you almost feel like a weight lifted off
Lifted
your
it off of
shoulder.
your shoulders.
Because sometimes now I think when you're younger, not just even younger, but a lot of some of my dissolved friendships from when I was younger, a lot of times we just partied together,
Right.
had a good time, and there was really no basis to that friendship. And the older I get, I realize sometimes what you were so mad about is just so petty and catty. But even whether you're 20 or 40
Yeah.
or 50, like some people. Anyways, yeah, there's just certain things that you just don't look at the same, and it's not worth it. And it's like we we got mad at each other, we fought over this, and that was not even worth it. So just sending you positive vibes and love and no hate, right? Just trying to spread more positivity. And
Right.
see, what did I have to lose, right? I didn't
You
really have
didn't.
anything to lose. And I felt
And it was a good outcome.
it was, and I just felt like it was just the right thing to do for
Right.
me because of where it was really bad.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool. I have chills. Like, I have like goosebumps.
yeah,
Can
you do.
see?
I can see.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so cool.
Sometimes I
love
feel like
that.
God or like the Holy Spirit tells you, like, this is the right thing to do. You should do this, and you just listen to it.
Yeah.
But if something is telling you to murder somebody or hurt somebody, you don't listen to those voices. That's different. Like I said, there's an angel
God would never
and there's a devil
say
that sits
that.
on your shoulder, and when you know right and wrong,
Exactly.
so don't you blame us for bad things that you do.
Exactly.
For listening to that voice.
No. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. No, that's really cool. I really love that story, and I'm super glad that that is how that
But
turned out.
do you take a look at your friendships now, people in your life, if it's worth it? What do you reevaluate? Do you upgrade? Do you cut some people out? Like, what do you, or are you just comfortable and you just leave the people that you know and that you love for a long time?
Okay, well, it's very interesting you say that because I said before I was going to talk about a friend. And yeah, so over the last few weeks, I've been analyzing different friends. And like I said, like with COVID and all of this stuff, isolation was so easy to get into. Like, I feel like my social skills went down, all of this stuff. And like, I just wasn't really messaging people as much as I could have or should have.
You kind of just stayed in your little bubble.
I stayed in my bubble, and then I was feeling bad about it. Then I was like, oh, it's been too long to message certain people and all this. But then, yeah, like, so there's that story about the friend who was talking about her baby and me class being canceled.
Oh yeah.
And so anyways, like when we were found out we were pregnant with Tori Mariah, like, it was kind of like a scary time because it's like, okay, like I felt like we're not where we want to be. but like we're making moves to be where we want to be. But I was like a little bit like scared about where things were. So I was like kind of asking for help from certain people.
Mm.
Um, and like whatever, that doesn't help me, doesn't mean like, oh, you have to give me money. Like I was trying to actually do certain services and help them to save money. And in turn, that was going to help me to get some money
Mm-hmm.
too. Um, and so I reached out to my friend, and she was like, well, like, basically made me feel as if I was like trying to shake her down for money, and like that I was, she just was like, oh, it's pretty hard, like having two kids, eh? Like, I don't know. It just wasn't a very empathetic.
Yeah.
And what I'll tell you about this person is that they are actually a counselor. Like,
Counselor?
yeah.
Mm.
And so constantly talking to me about like, and it's at like, with the school board that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
So constantly telling me about the kids that she sees and how they come from broken families, which, yeah, she's doing good things in that.
Yeah, so she knows.
I'm not like negating that. What I am saying is, I find it interesting when people are in jobs like that and then they don't have compassion for like people that they actually physically know. And it just really illuminated our friendship and how it isn't really a friendship. I've been really like struggling to like remove her, block her, do all these different things, like take a, I mean, I don't want to necessarily block her, but I just like, I know that I need to just like cut ties with her, but it's really, really hard. I mean, and I'm sure, Lisa, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, because with Serene, it wasn't like it was easy, but then the decision basically got made for you. And also,
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the actions, it's like, well, why? No, why am I like trying
Well,
to save this friendship, right?
exactly, because at first I think, like I said, when I love somebody and they're part of my life and part of my family, I love you and I hang on to you and I
Yeah,
see the goodness in you.
I'm the
And
same.
I'm not one to, um, like, I can admit that I'm sorry if I hurt you, admit my fault if I was being a lot more blunt and hurtful than to you, right? Like
Right.
I, I'm not scared to apologize to try to work things out with somebody I love, right? And that's what I wanted to do right away with her because we've been friends for so long. And then once I took a step back and looked at it as a big picture and what she brought to the table in our friendship, then I realized that I don't need her. She needs me more than I
Mm-hmm.
need her. And actually, I've not missed her. I don't. It's crazy because at first I was just hanging on to that. I've known you for so long and you've been with me in some of the biggest moments of my life. And, it wasn't all bad, obviously. When you're friends with somebody for 12 years, you have some really great, amazing memories, but then within the last year or two, it's not like we hung out a lot. I felt like we drifted apart. So then when you start to take a step back and see it, and see them for their true colors, I don't know. I just don't
Yeah.
care. I just don't value that. And let's say in the future, like she came and she apologized to me, I would accept the apology, but I would keep her at an arm's
Distant.
length because
Yeah. You
there's
can't
certain,
trust her.
no, because there's certain people that once you see their true colors, you can't unsee it. And it's just not something that she's not somebody that I want to be like. And because they say that the people you hang around with, you become like, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be gossipy. I don't want to be backstabby because it's different. And we all know right and wrong. When we all have some of the same friends, it's going to come up that you're going to talk about a certain friend or you need help with certain things.
Right.
But it shouldn't be like that constantly when you're with somebody that you're complaining and bitching about some person, the things that you don't like that they say and do. That's not a real friend.
Right.
If we had a mutual friend and I said, oh, I fought with Serene over this, like, what do you think I should say or do to try to help her without, because she's going to freak, or, that getting advice because you know her too. It's different. But when I've realized that she just talks about everything and everybody, anything that would listen to her, then I'm like, that's too much for me. I'm not like that at all.
Well,
unless
exactly.
I'm dealing with an issue and I really seek advice. But I
Right.
don't go around talking and gossiping about every person and picking at their faults, what I like and what I don't like about them. I don't have time for that. When you're hanging out with me and we make plans to go for lunch, we're going to talk about other things, not just people, like
Yeah.
current events or certain things, not gossip about people and their flaws. And
Right.
no, I don't like that.
Well, and
I'm too old for
we can
that.
talk about people, but talk about the good things that they did,
Exactly.
and like,
Or
oh,
who
I
you want to
hung out with
strive.
this person, and like we were
Exactly.
talking about with, I don't know, we'll call her DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that interaction, and how it was cool to see her again after a few months of her being over,
Yeah.
away, like a
Yeah.
few provinces away, and all of that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Just talking about her life and what she likes about being there and
right.
why she moved there and I missed
What's
her and
different?
what's new and
Yeah,
just catching up and just being friends, not picking out somebody's flaws. Like I said, if you don't like a person and you find yourself always complaining and bitching about them because you don't like that they do this or that a certain way, then don't be friends with them.
right.
Right? It's simple as that. It's a little different if it's your brother or your sister because you really kind of have to put up with it.
True.
But with your friends, you can make the decisions. These are the qualities I want and I need in a friend, and it's the same. It's you shouldn't just take somebody who's clinging on to you because you feel like you have no friends. Like I'd rather
Right.
have one loyal friend than 1,000 fake friends. And
And I think that's where I've gotten to with
me too.
this
I've realized
person.
like
Yeah.
so. Yeah. With that,
I
so you're just gonna make those
well,
permanent changes or what?
I
Like, do you
think
guys
so. I
hang
think
around each other a lot? And you said you get no support from
no,
her.
I
Like, she's not
mean,
supportive.
so Dax, I'm gonna call her. Um uh I feel like there's just been so many signs from when we were younger. So when I first got diagnosed with Crohn's, um like one of her best friends, we'll call them, what are we gonna call them? I'm trying to think of a canal. Let's just go with canal. Anyways,
Root
canal.
canal.
Canal seemed to think, or Chanel, we'll call her. No,
Okay.
no, Canal, because Chanel sounds too classy.
Yeah, don't be dragging my favorite design
No,
under.
exactly. That's what I was like, no, let's not go there. But anyways, Canal was very insecure, and like this is around the, like I said, the first time I was hadn't even been diagnosed yet, actually. Um, this is when I first started getting symptoms. So I was like, we'd go out and I would faint at the bar and stuff. It was a very scary
Yeah.
time. But like, I wanted to be around my friends, right?
Yeah.
Because especially when you're not feeling well, I don't know,
You
like
want to just
you want
be
to
normal and live in
want
the
to be
moment.
normal.
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't want to like feel like you're missing out, especially when you're like 21
Yeah.
and you're just really starting to
Live life.
live
Yeah.
life. And yeah. But anyways, it was Canel's birthday and we were at Cowboys and I happened to faint there. And then she proceeded to tell me that I did that so I could get attention from her birthday, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Crazy.
If anybody's been to the original Cowboys,
The one on 3rd?
yeah, the one on 9th Ave, yeah.
Yeah, the original.
The original.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite places to hang out.
Right? Like, I mean, it wasn't mine because there's been several different incidences, that being one of them, fainting there.
Yeah.
But the floors were filthy. Why would I want to be on that floor?
Yeah.
Like, to gain attention and like,
It's
and anybody
it's
who knew,
embarrassing,
it's
right? Yeah.
embarrassing. It's because everybody thought I was drunk and I was not. I don't even think I really drank that night because I didn't know what was wrong with me and I wanted to have a clear head. But all of a sudden my head started feeling fuzzy and red and then I was on the ground and it was like, and then that happened and Dax didn't defend me then and just kind of made excuses for Canel. And then like years later, then Her best friend was dating my brother. We were good friends, and I'm gonna call her. I yeah. Let's see. What are we gonna call her? Oh my god.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Just
to just like
just give the initial, first initial.
okay, it's L, but this person has since passed away, unfortunately. But I didn't want her to be dating my brother because like I realized both of them have issues with alcohol and it just wasn't a good scene, and plus like I just knew it wasn't like forever love anyways. That was so I was like, you guys are gonna ruin your friendship. Like they
And
had
make it awkward when you guys are all together.
yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So then she proceeded to try and talk to me, Elle, and I was like,
Not me.
no. Yeah. But I was just like, you know, I don't want to talk to you right now because I was going in for surgery the next day and just I didn't want to be stressed, and I also was like, I already know what you're going to tell me. Like I just don't even want to have this conversation right now. We're at our friends. I'm going to call her Vin for dinner. Trying to have a nice like friend dinner.
Yeah.
And just hang out, and my other friend I'm going to call her Tina, who also has since passed away, was there too. So, it was just like, and I hadn't seen her for a long time, so I just wanted it to be a good night. And yeah, there was just a bunch of us there. And then Dax proceeds to tell me, well, it's good that she's trying to talk to you because, like, I'm like, when she's drunk. And she's like, shut up about it after that. But it's like, you're supposed to be these people's friends. Why are you not holding them to account? Especially it's your best friend.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, her best friend died of alcohol related stuff. And so did my friend, Tina. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know. I don't know if she thinks about, like, maybe if I had said certain things at certain times to her, would that have been the outcome? Not that I'm blaming her, but you know what I'm saying? It's just thing after thing that I'm just realizing, like, she's not really had my back. And then that whole thing with when I was having kids, it was like just the last straw. And she's also been like, oh, to me, because my brother and his best friend always had like birthday parties. And also, by the way, going back to Canal and saying that I was trying to take over her birthday, I always had how many people at my birthday when I had my birthday parties.
Yeah.
Like, I had like 50 or 60 people at my birthdays. Why do I need to outshine you? Like, and my birthday's in winter
That's
time.
not a real friend. When they view
people
you,
still came to my birthday.
But when people view you as competition, that's not a real friend. Those are just haters.
Total.
Undercover
like
being your friends because they want to keep tabs on you and they view you as competition when you don't view them, kind of like Serene.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about her, anything about her life that I want. I'm me, and she's herself. And
well, Canel stalked her boyfriend into being her husband now. I mean, they are married and have kids, and I assume they have a happy life, but whatever. Like, she's on my Facebook too, and I'm just like, I just need to cut them both out because I'm just like done. But Dax was talking to me about my brother and his best friend, and that like, oh, I don't know if I even want to go to their birthdays anymore because like, I don't know, I'm just over it and stuff. And then they didn't invite her one year and she got super pissed.
mad.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then I was like, don't you remember you said that? She's like, oh, I never said that. Like, okay. Yeah, I just made that up in my head. Seriously. So, yeah. Basically, I mean, when I'm recounting these different things, like, it's like...
You put it together and you're like, yeah, she's not worth it. I should just remove her.
Yeah. I just don't, like, I just don't even want to be around her.
But when you realize
her,
some people
like,
are just
or her
sucking
family.
your energy, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
And I think what I've realized this year with losing two of my best best friends,
Mm-hmm.
Matilda and Serene, is that did I really truly know them, and just to sit back and see everything for what it is, and not because you're so attached at the hips that you ignore certain signs.
Well, yeah, or because everybody else is friends with them,
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep the peace. I just, you know what, I'm just so done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just, I think part of what was keeping us together was memories of Tina as well,
Yeah.
and that we would go and celebrate her
Yeah, of course.
together. And I mean, I will cherish those memories that we had, but I don't need it. I don't need it in my life. I
I think
don't need her in
sometimes.
my life. I just like I'm just so done. Even when I think about too, like her and her partner,
Mm-hmm.
like they're not married, they have 2 kids. But like she's like talked about him and been like mad because he didn't like propose, but then she had 2 kids with him, and or they didn't get married, and she's just like, oh well, I'm gonna give the baby my last name because he could have married me, whatever. And it's like, do you actually voice these things to him? And
Mm-hmm.
like he said
Do
one
you
day,
communicate?
yeah,
That's part of being in a relationship,
but
communication.
one day he said about his dog, he's like, oh yeah, like this is how it goes, like the dog, um my son, then Dax. And I was like, are you seriously like, if Peter ever said that to someone, like, can you imagine Ryan being like, oh, it goes Luna, Artie, then Lisa?
Yeah. No.
And in front of, like, in mixed company, like,
No.
not you guys joking around being like,
Yeah. Yeah, because
like,
of course.
Luna's my number one, like you're
Yeah.
kidding around together and joking
Exactly.
like that. But like, I don't think he was joking. Like, I really don't think he was joking. Like, but I think he was trying to be funny. But I was like, how disrespected can you be? So just all of that together. I just don't even want to be like have my kids around that either. So
Well,
yeah,
it's
I'm done.
understandable. I think the older we get, the more we see clear. We see our eyes might be getting worse, but we clearly see through people's bullshit a lot easier, for sure.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're right. Now there's a lot of things that I don't put up with that I would have put up with 10 years ago, and I just don't have time for it.
Well, I think, like you said, um, the proximity of, because I was friends with Serene, but like, and I told you this, but to be honest, there was always a piece of me holding myself back
Mm-hmm.
from being really good friends and like resisting kind of letting her in,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously in the back of my mind I knew like her true character, so I didn't really want to put her in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
And then when all this came out, and like the gifts she gave me
Mm-hmm.
and all that, I just realized like she just collects people to seem like, oh, I know this person, that person, that person, um
Yeah.
so that she
But
can seem
meeting somebody,
popular.
once and getting their phone number to market doesn't mean that they're your friends.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that takes too much time and energy. That is not me. I
No,
can't do that.
I don't want to, like you said, I would rather have one true friend than 100 acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever. I have a lot of people on my Facebook, but that is mostly for business purposes right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's not
Like, if there's a reason to have them on, then have them on. But
right.
for the sake of, this person that we know, she collects it so that she has contacts and stuff like that, right? But sometimes it's, wanting a deal, but sometimes not getting the best deal. Just because you know somebody doesn't mean that they're going to give you the best deal possible. Sometimes business is business and they still have to make money somehow.
Well, and just because you get a deal doesn't mean that you get
The
quality.
best service, exactly. Sometimes
I mean, certain
I'd rather
things you
have
need
quality.
to pay for to get the right thing for yourself, right? Like, like handbags, shoes, like different things that the wear of them you know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
know that it's worth it because like, yeah, you'll pay
Yeah.
whatever money for it,
Yeah.
but it will last for how long
Mm-hmm.
that you will well have
What people
gotten the value out of it
and
by the time.
what people see in certain values are varies as well, right?
Right.
Like where, I don't need to have like 20 Chanel bags. If I have two,
Mhm.
that's a staple in my closet and I wear them all the time and I can pass them on to my children and their kids, then I see the value behind that alone instead of going through like a cheap bag every year,
Right.
right? Because quality, it's made to last. And especially when you pay a lot of money, you take care of it, you cherish it, and you keep it nice.
Right.
And some people don't see the value in certain things like that, like materialistic things, right? Or it's like almost like what me and Ryan were talking about is like my ring, right?
Yeah.
So like my ring is big
Hmm.
and it's like diamonds, and it wasn't my decision to buy myself this huge rock. It was Ryan's decision. He made that decision, not to be like, oh, look at my wife, like I bought her this huge ring to be like flashy or gaudy or whatever. He bought it because he just saw, like, I think with any woman who puts on a big ring, your eyes light up like a Christmas tree because it's so huge and sparkly.
Right.
And so for him, the value behind my ring is that he's like, well, he's like, I could buy a new truck, but he's like, or I can buy a ring that my wife is going to wear for the rest of her life. The value behind that, right?
Right.
And that's where a lot of people don't really get it. They just think, oh, she's just got this big rock and, to show off. But like, it's not. Like Ryan's meaning is that I'm worth it
Yeah.
more than a brand new truck for him to buy me an expensive
Right.
ring, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm just one of the comparisons. I mean, what we see in certain values, whether it's a vehicle or sometimes it's just you spending money on, like, your well-being, like going to a spa and just relaxing yourself and all that stuff,
Oh,
taking
for
care of
sure.
yourself, right? I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm not against having a deal. I just don't go looking for certain deals every turn because it's
Well,
too much work for me.
and with certain things, I don't look for deals because I know
Exactly, I know.
that getting a deal,
It's not going to
like,
be what I want it to
right.
be. No, I get it.
Because sometimes you think you're taking a shortcut, and actually, it would have just been better if you took the long way around because then you have to double back and oh, you lost your direction, and
Yeah.
oh, there's this actually in the way, this obstacle. Whereas that one, yeah, okay, you have to go up some
Yeah.
hills and around.
Well, and it's part of life. You go up
Right.
and down. It's like, oh, let me buy this cheap car for $500. Okay, it got me from point A to B, but it broke down within a year. So now
Right.
I'm going to upgrade
Right.
and buy a newer vehicle with warranty. So, that's going to cost more, but also it's going to last longer. So, I mean, there's
When you could have just bought the new car in the first place,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
And I'm not saying because yeah, we have used like we have a Highlander, but it's like it's new to us, but it works great and like but obviously like yes, my dream car is like the Mercedes G-Wagon and I cannot wait like
I could see you driving
that.
that.
Yes, and I'm totally customizing that shit out.
Nice.
But that's not right now. But I'm good. I'm good in my Highlander. I think it's pretty sweet, and I don't feel embarrassed driving around in it. And it's like got a good system, like whatever, and it gets us from A to B. Our kids are in there. There's enough space for all of us, so it's a good ride. But yeah, it's not my dream car, but
Yeah, but these are things that you work towards, and
exactly.
obviously right now when you have kids, you have to prioritize what
Well, exactly.
is important, right? Like to give your kids
like
what they
'cause-
need.
Yeah.
But this is why we do the things that we chase our dreams and passion so that you could have that freedom.
Right, because we're in different stages of life. There's different things that we can afford, so that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Exactly.
my ring, I got it in Jamaica. It was probably like $1,000.
Yeah.
But I love
And it's beautiful.
I
and
love
it's so you.
this ring. Like,
But it's
and
like,
it's
I
so vintage. It's like a vintage
Yeah, and
ring,
it's-
and it has the blue stone because like I
Your
always
favorite color
wanted,
is blue, yeah.
yeah, my favorite color is blue. I
Yeah.
always wanted like a aquamarine, or
Yeah. And I
I think
never make
it's
you feel bad. You never make me feel bad. And
no.
it's like to each their own, you know, like
And I
you look
want
at
to
this and you're
upgrade
like, that's
this.
so you. I look at that, I'm like, that's so you. And it's beautiful. Like it
Exactly.
doesn't have to be big and expensive and sparkly for me to be like, to love it. Like,
No.
yes, I do have like, you know, certain high tastes on certain things, but not everything,
Right.
you
And
know?
it means something to me. Like, this is priceless to me because my husband got it for
Yeah,
me, right? Like,
exactly.
so,
It's like the ring that Ryan
and we picked it
proposed,
out. Yeah.
the ring that Ryan proposed to me with in Mexico. Like it's fake, right?
Right.
But he went all the way to get it at the jewelry store, you know, and it's probably a few $100s. And I was going to replicate that ring. We were going to do that if we didn't find one that I like so that it matched it.
Right.
But sometimes, because when I travel, I don't wear my real ring.
Right.
Unless it depends on where we're going. Especially if we go somewhere like Mexico and stuff, I don't wear it. I wear my fake ring, the one that he proposed to me with.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might see me in pictures with a different ring.
Right.
Because that's the reason why. But when I wear it, sometimes I giggle because, you know, it's just the meaning behind it, that this is the one that he actually proposed to me in. And then I remember when he was down on his knees, I'm like, oh my God, is this real? And then he's like, I'm like, is this real? Like, is this real? And like, and he's like thinking, he told me, he's like, well, he's like, the proposal, yes, the ring, no. So
Oh, Ryan.
yeah,
I love Ryan.
it makes me laugh. But certain things like that, you know, you have sweet little memories like that. And
Well,
and that's the thing, like when I got my ring cut off this summer,
yeah.
so this ring, my hands got really swollen
Yeah.
this summer. And which is weird because in the morning sometimes I find that my ring is a little bit tight, so I just kind of push it on.
Right.
And then by lunchtime my hands,
Like it contracts or whatever,
yes.
right? And
So
it
then
feels
it's
a little
not
bit
as,
looser.
it's looser, exactly. So then one day it wouldn't, a few months ago, my fingers got stuck. I could not even budge it. I looked up Google and YouTube trying to, like we tried dental floss. Ryan came on my lunch because I was freaking out, put my hand in ice cold water for 10 minutes and he tried to do the dental floss trick where you slip the dental floss under and you kind of wedge it.
Yeah.
It was on so tight, my finger was purple. And I was freaking out. And he's like, babe, we have to go to emergency. He's like, we need that ring off. And I'm like, and at that point, like, you know, I wasn't like, oh my God, my ring. I'm like, yeah, I have to go. So when we got there, and then it was like 5 nurses came over, like, we can't cut that ring off. Look at it. It's so beautiful. Oh my God, get over here. Come look at this. And they're all like gawking at my ring.
You're like, get it off.
I'm
me.
like, and they're like, well, we're going to try everything to get it off. We're not going to cut that. I'm like, do what you have to do. If you have to cut it off, cut it off. Because, you know, for me, like, yes, you know, I do love my ring because of,
But you
I
love
love
your
my husband.
finger more.
But also I know I'm not stupid. I want my finger. So like, yes, they did actually have to drill it off. They drilled it in 3 places and everybody was just so shocked. Like everybody else was more traumatized than me. The whole ward was traumatized. And for me, don't get me wrong. Yes, I love my ring. I love the meaning because it's my husband that got it for me.
Right.
But I was like, it can be fixed. It can be replaced, whereas my finger cannot. So they cut it off. And then the first thing we did was went to my jeweler. And it was in a pea cup, you know, like a pea cup. It was in 3 pieces. And the thing is, she cut the band, so the diamonds were fine. And I remember the one nurse, he came over and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, we're cutting it, just cut it right through the big diamond there. And then I'm like, not funny, because he was joking.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and it, you know, whatever, like they were like, what happened? And we're like, well, I got stuck in my finger, had to get it cut off. We just came back from the hospital. And we thought like, oh, it's going to be so much money to like fix it. But it really was. And it was so cheap that we were shocked. And at the end of the day, like I had it off of my finger.
And with a bigger size, right?
Yeah. And then I went up half a size.
Half a size, yeah.
Just to be safe. But at the end of the day, it's just material stuff. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can grow to love it because there's a sentimental meaning behind it.
Yep.
But also at the end of the day, you know, like if God came down and said, you have to leave, you have to give me your ring and your Chanel bag and this and that, I'd be like, sure, here you go, I love you, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just because you like certain things, or I don't know, people just, you know, they think they know you, but they don't sometimes.
They really don't.
Well, people that, yeah.
I know. Like, and I'm just feeling so, actually us talking about that and talking about getting rid of, you know, like erroneous people out of our lives. it's actually making me feel more calm inside because I'm
Good.
just like, I don't need this in my life. Like, I
No, you
don't.
don't. And this is where you have to realize too that standards are standards. If somebody is not,
So
you
true.
have to promote and demote some people in your life because not
Yes.
everybody can ride with you in the
No.
elevator to go up. You have to let some people off, and that's just what I've realized this whole year. Even though I've lost two of my best friends, which is so heartbreaking and it's awful because it makes me question if I'm a good person or what I
Mm-hmm.
have to offer. But also then I realize I come back to common sense. I know that I am a good person and I bring a lot to the table.
Right.
And if they can't see the value, if somebody wants to walk away, let them walk away. And you
Yeah.
just have to let them do their thing and miss you, right? And that's
For
what I
real.
start to realize. It's just easier to like take a look at that and cut them off and not feel guilty about it because you deserve happiness and you deserve to have standards in friendships and relationships as well and anything in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. Like, I told her we were doing this show. She was like, oh, I keep forgetting to watch it. I'm like, well, you're not really a friend. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's something that
Support
I'm
even.
trying to do for, like, we're trying to do something, put something good out into the world, and you don't even have time to even,
Show a little support.
support,
Yeah.
even just to watch like 5 minutes. Like,
To
I mean,
watch
I don't
it.
expect people to watch
Yeah,
all
to
the,
watch it, to like it, to share it, like just,
yeah,
something that would be the right thing to do,
right.
right? But some people, I feel like, even though they say they're your friend or they follow you
Yeah.
or they like certain things, that they're really just secret haters and they just want to spy on you to see what you're going to say and do. And when they see you doing something good or well for yourself, then they kind of get a little jealous and insecure. And
Yeah.
that's just people and that's just life and
It
story of my life.
is. Yeah, I mean, and I just was thinking about like, yeah, there's been several occasions where she's like, anytime there's any conflict, she always takes whoever else's side and then complains to me about saying that nobody reached out to her, like, during certain times. And it's
Some
like, but
people,
you're not a person who is there for other people either. Like, you pick and choose who you, and you talk about these people and say that they're not good friends to you, but then you continually go back to them and like allow them to like drain your
some
energy.
people want to feel important and like they're wanted and that they're like the queen bee of the group, right? So
Oh,
there's
totally.
nothing you can do.
She's never been the queen bee of our group ever. No. Like, no.
But you know what I mean? Some people want
Oh, I
to feel
totally
wanted
know.
and they want that attention. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't like when the attention's not on them. But these are issues where you can't help, especially people who counsel people that can't even address their own problems.
It's ridiculous.
But
Well,
anyways, this is not point blank counseling
yeah,
session.
exactly. And we are, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Once we
it's,
start going, you
we
can't
keep
stop.
going.
And that's not even with any special drinks.
No,
It's
this is
just
just
coffee.
and tea. Wow.
But
So yeah, we should probably wind it up here.
I think so.
But always great to talk to you guys and always to hang out with you, Lisa. It's awesome. And
Yeah, I
just
feel
to
like
get
this
it.
is like our little like time to catch up and get together and just kind of what we would talk over coffee.
Exactly.
So because we haven't, like we text each
Yeah.
other, but there's certain things that we save for talking for the show,
Right.
so that we have things to talk about. Obviously, we don't have an issue with talking, as you can tell by these long episodes that we do once a month, at least an hour and a half.
Yes.
So if you are watching the whole episode, I just want to give you a big hug.
Yes, thank
because
you
it's
so
crazy.
much.
Thank you for just listening to us talk and just being here and being supportive. All the people who are supportive and loving us, thank you so much. We love you.
We love you
God
so
bless you.
Yes.
And we will see you guys next month. Bye.
Bye. How do we end this now?